G'day folks, welcome to this quick overview of Ted Race's Stalin's War, published by GMT back in 2010. This is a card-driven hex encounter game. So think Paths of Glory, think World War II Barbarossa to Berlin, but instead of point-to-point movement, we've got hex-to-hex movement. It's got a pretty small footprint. This is pretty much the area of operations you're looking at here. We're at start of turn 6, summer 1942, just to give you a sense of sort of progress. The Germans are outside Leningrad, and they were outside Moscow, but they've been forced back. Army Group North, Army Group Centre, going pretty well. Army Group South really struggling, ironically, and proceeding pretty slow. A long way still from Rostov, Stalingrad. They've got a couple of turns to get there, but the problem here is that Russian reinforcements are arriving. We've got some big Russian stacks. Their shock troops have arrived. And the Germans seem to be in a fair bit of trouble. They've lost a lot of their Panzer Corps. Now, you've got large combat units and small combat units, and they function a little bit differently to many other card-driven games like World War II, Barbarossa to Berlin. Your small combat units are effectively independent formations, and they're much stronger than the small combat units that you'll see in Barbarossa to Berlin. They can function, as you can see out here in the south, kind of independently. You can have a stack of these Panzer Corps. They represent Corps, these small combat units. They can stack together and function much like a large combat unit. They can hit quite hard, and you have a high stacking, as you can see here in Moscow, high stacking value in a hex. The Germans, opinions on this aren't too positive. People feel that the Germans can quite easily break the Russian lines in 1941. It's very hard for the Russians to win. But if the Russians can contain that German offensive, which is what they've done here, then it's very tough for the Germans to sustain their offensive. And that's what I'm seeing quite here. The Russians were able just to barely hang on. There were big breaks in their lines, but they hung on. And the arrival of Russian reinforcements, of more large combat units, and a counterattack through here, a Russian counterattack just east of the Pripyat marshes here, has really challenged the Germans. They've had to pull away from Moscow to contain this. The scale is quite interesting. I mean, we've got huge, there's only like 12 or so hexes from the Baltic Sea to the Black Sea. So a pretty narrow front, and it's quite easily for forces. So these Panzer Corps can move 5 hexes, so they can get halfway across Russia in one move. There are 5 action rounds in a turn, as opposed to the normal 6 in many other card-driven games. A lot of thematic special rules. You've got partisans out here. What else is going on? You've got various minor allies. When you activate your forces, you're basically moving everything. So you're not using the ops on a card to activate forces. You generally are moving with most of your forces unless you want to exit a zone of control or you want to attack. In those two circumstances, you will spend an ops. So you can move everything on the board. You only spend the ops to do those kind of special movements, leaving an enemy zone of control without a pinning unit left behind. So, for example, this unit could, I can't actually find a better example. Here we go, Panzer Corps. They could leave this hex because there's a pinning unit left behind, and it wouldn't cost an ops as long as the Hungarians stay behind. It's a relatively lightweight game. Despite these changes and all these special rules, the rulebook is only 24 pages long and, fairly easy to grasp. The challenge really is in those sort of special rules around fortresses, Festung, Stalin, Moscow, there's oil, there are rules for banked ops. Perhaps the most annoying rule is that if you spend consecutive actions conducting operations, you'll suffer an increasingly punitive penalty. And that's quite annoying to keep track of. Otherwise, you really have to track your actions. All right, folks, so that is Stalin's War, GMT 2010, Ted Racer design. Check it out if it looks of interest. Thanks all. Bye.